Nearly the start of Commonwealth Games. Has it been exciting seeing all the athletes prepare and get ready for Games time?
Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me how quickly these sort of periods come round. It only seems like yesterday we were doing Glasgow and getting excited about that. And the period of preparation suddenly comes into focus. It now means something. So yeah, of course it's exciting, and it's fantastic to see the athletes excited as well. Our challenge, together with the sports and the coaches and the parents, is to temper that excitement so that they focus on their performance. And everyone's looking forward to it. Yeah, it's almost here.
So have things been different with the Games being a lot earlier in the year, just in terms of the way the athletes have needed to prepare?
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's not been a full cycle in that sense, because we're adhering to the Australian time of sort of an April Games. So it's not a proper cycle. And on top of that, some of these athletes would normally be competing in their events at this level a lot later in our summer. So there's been some challenges, but it also allows them to do different things and look at different approaches. So whilst there are challenges, there are also opportunities. So it'll be different for some of the athletes, but ultimately these guys, most of them are professional in the proper sense of the word and prepare so properly now for that they've been looking at the calendar so far in advance that the timing of the Games doesn't really matter.
So does that mean there anything that needs to be considered with it being an overseas Games rather than being a home Games? I guess they're looking at these things anyway, so they just factor that in.
Yeah, a lot of athletes are used to travelling the globe, and their season's pretty international in that sense. The real challenge, I think, is just jet lag. It's the practical stuff. It still hits you for six if you don't prepare properly. Luckily now we've supported the sports and the athletes to prepare properly and have either gone over there and experienced it previously, or they've gone out now in plenty of time to make sure the acclimatization processes are put in place. So yeah, it's an issue, but it's not an unsurmountable one.
We get asked a lot about medal targets. Is there a target? Who sets it?
Yeah, we try and change the narrative away from target, and that's not to abdicate responsibility. It's to show where we're putting our emphasis with sports, that it's a proper partnership. And whilst a medal return is expected, because we want to invest in medals, we do more than that. We invest in sport and not just for a medal return. So there's a target as such. We have an objective of being the #1 nation per capita in terms of medal return. And within that, there'll be a figure that is an acceptable figure when we review the Games. And our best overseas result ever was Auckland in 1990, which is 25. So you can see the sort of narrative we're trying to develop. Those are the sort of broad areas of results we'd like to see a return on. But what really is important is that we're not just investing for the medal. The medal itself is a means to an end, i.e. some proper pathway development with the sports and some real engagement with the communities for those sports. So we're looking forward to some good results, but our investment hopefully will provide wider returns than just the medal.
Can you give a bit more of a flavour of what that investment is? I mean, you mentioned pathway, but in tangible terms, like what is it?
Yeah, tangible terms, our practitioners in the Institute here work with athletes lower in the pathway, if you like, helping develop more robust, more resilient, better prepared athletes for when they do hopefully make it to the top. It's tangible support like investing in coaches that aren't necessarily just working with medal-winning athletes. It's working with all our partners in terms of developing athletes earlier so that they're better when they do reach the top. It's things like that, tangible support so that there's a pathway for athletes to achieve their best, whatever that best is.
Okay, so what about the future? I know we said a little bit early, but after the Games, what comes next?
There's always another Games. I mean, shortly after these Games, clearly there'll be the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics. So there'll be a certain number of these athletes that go to Gold Coast will be getting ready for that, and we'll play our part with them and the British system. But then it's Birmingham. And given how quickly this cycle's gone, I can imagine the Birmingham cycle will come really quickly. But we're also working for the long-term success, so we'll be immediately carrying on our work with the governing bodies and partners in terms of developing these systems and processes. There'll always be a review. it's never ending really, but for us it's not just about the medal return, so we'll be continuing our work to make sure sports are better placed to continue with sustained success, be it Tokyo, Birmingham, Paris in 2024, and then wherever the Commonwealths are in 2026.